right? I could have the best pussy in the world and be by my fucking self. You know what I'm saying?
It's
And
very
so,
true.
you know what I mean? And so it's like, what good is good coochie if you ain't got nobody to share it with? You know what I'm saying?
All right, so you guys know how modern dating is a dumpster fire. And there's a toxic stereotype that educated professional women of color are not marriage material. Well, I'm the one that they call when they want to stop internalizing the toxicity and get their greatest love of all time without sacrificing their passions, their purpose, or their personality. Hi, sweet babies. Welcome to our Friday lunchtime fun. I'm Candace, and let me tell you, I have been where you are. For years, I was unhappy about my love life and trying to achieve someone else's idea of love. The churches, my families, the millions of romance novels that I read throughout high school, none of which got me anywhere but unhappy with my love life. Basically, it took abuse, grief, and even homelessness for me to learn how to let go of control and be guided to transform my love life. I broke free from the struggle love cycles and created a love life that I love, that loves me back. I got my gloat, my greatest love of all time, and now I am here to guide you to do the same. So I want you to join me on a journey from feeling disappointed in your relationship history to madly in love, from broken and guarded to whole and happy. I'm here every week, sometimes like today, with an amazing guest, but I don't want you to just watch and listen. I want you to comment, engage, and be a part of this rich conversation. We talk a lot here, especially with this guest I'm bringing on, because we are famous for having a rich and deep and prolific conversation. So you just got to get in where you fit in. If for some reason we don't get to interact during the live, know that you can comment and both of us will come back and check out and interact with you and talk about whatever it is that you would like to talk about or ask about. And if you stick around at near the end of the show, we have a very special announcement. So let's go ahead and get started. Hold on, let me find out. Let me bring up my guest today, the Coochie Coach. Well, let me tell you a little bit about her first before I bring her up. So, Nikki Brown, better known as the Coochie Coach, is a humorous, authentic, and social mompreneur who prides herself with being the woman on the move, living life on the skinny branches, honey, out to disrupt the industry of intimacy and sex for folks born with wombs. The Coochie Coach is the quintessential speaker and innovator of authentic talk. She's also a mother, author, public speaker, virtual and real life traveler, community advocate, mentor, educator, sister friend, and sexual freedom strategist. She hosts an annual event called the Coochie Con. She's been a guest on the Tom Joyner Morning Show. Her latest book is called A to Z Pandemic Pleasure. She holds a BA in sociology and a master's in urban policy, education, and school building leadership. She's also a minister, a doula, a womb wellness and sauna practitioner, and a stage performer. And she's coming to us all the way from NYC, honey. She is currently on the move and mobile on public transportation in NYC. So let me bring her up. Come on in here, mama. Welcome.
Hey, Kansas. Like, I was listening to that and I was like, yeah, I'm literally on the move.
You are who you say you are, right?
And listen, in real time.
So how are you doing today? I know,
Um,
we're like rushing around, putting it
well,
together.
listen, I want to tell you that I don't feel rushed.
Oh, good.
I use every place as my office. I went to
Yeah.
the doctor's office and had to take a meeting before they called me. So I went and
Uh-huh.
took my meeting. And when I was finished with my meeting, I went in for the appointment with the doctor. They were like,
Yeah.
"Where were you?" I was like, "In the office
Like
with the
sitting
door
here
closed, like
in
making
my
it
office.
happen." So yeah, so
Yeah.
the bus is my office now.
Yeah. I think that's the thing about now that we meet virtually, it's the convenience of being able to be wherever you need to be, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
always concerned about the background, the sound outside of myself or whatever. But at
Yeah.
this moment, I'm not concerned with that.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect. So the tech gods are in our favor right now.
Yes.
Hopefully, we're still broadcasting on Instagram. I don't know what's happening with that, but you know what? I'm gonna be like you.
Well,
I'm gonna go
here,
into right? We're here, and we made it. So we have so much to talk about. Not the least of which is that you were on this show like 3 titles ago, because I used to call the show Ask for Candy. And for a while, I was calling it Love Life Skills for Leaders. I don't remember if it was Ask for Candy yet when you were on it, but when I started in 2018, I think you were maybe my third guest.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yes, I remember we were sitting right next to each other. You had a guy, a tech guy, who
Uh-huh.
used to do like the stuff that we do now ourselves.
Right?
You had someone there to do it, and he was someplace else. He was like virtual, and we
Yeah.
sat side by side and did it. And that one was about orgasms.
Yes. I love it. And to this day, it was one of my favorite interviews. I think I came across it, I want to say about 3 months or so. And I was like, that was a damn good interview. Like we had a really good conversation.
Yeah, yeah,
So, and every time we get together, like I said, I feel like every time we get together, we have a rich and prolific conversation. What I
definitely.
love most about you is your willingness to just be authentic and just share yourself without reservation. I think that that's a really important part of being able to connect with each other, right?
Hmm.
Is just that
Hmm.
willingness to do that. And I know for some it can be a very scary thing. But what I love about you is that you are a perfect example of how that bravery and that ability to do that is it's something that draws people towards you. And I love that you set yourself, you are an example of that. I don't know that you do it consciously, but
Yeah.
naturally you're an
I mean,
example of that.
I think but I tell you, I say I live my life out loud. So you don't have to if you don't want to, right?
Yeah.
And you can learn and love and live through the examples of how I'm expressing myself, right? Because I am clear that what I do, how I do it, is not for the faint at heart, right?
Yeah.
Like, not every person would be so candid about their life experiences in the way that I am about the subject matter in the
Yeah.
way that I am, right?
Yeah.
I'd say it's a gift from God if you believe in God, higher power, or whatever that is. But there's something that I feel I was ordained with,
Yeah.
in many ways that most people just would be are terrified to do.
Yeah.
Shit, I mean, and it's public speaking. It has nothing to do with the nature, which I speak about, just the public speaking, and then to add the topic to that public speaking makes it all the
Absolutely.
more, special.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like it makes it very multi-layered because a lot of people can get in front of people and give the presentation about the money and the accounts, or give the presentation about the goals that need to be met. Not a
Mhm.
lot of people can talk publicly about
Coochie
sex,
goals.
coochie goals, physical intimacy, womb work,
Yeah,
all of that
yeah,
stuff that is, considered to be taboo for whatever reason.
exactly.
People talk about violence and stuff like it's nothing, but God forbid you
Watch
talk about love,
videos on it and everything. And you
right?
dare mention, I wear my bag, the Coochie Coach, and it has my name
Yeah.
and my logo and everything. And it's like, hide your children.
Hide your children.
Crazy.
That's hilarious. One thing, though, I have to say is that part of what drew me to you in the first place, because I don't remember how we first met, but the fact that you were calling yourself the Coochie Coach even back then, because I know you've been in this game for a while. And I was just like, first of all, that's what my mom always called the vagina, your coochie. She always say, make sure you wash your coochie. And I was like, this girl is bold. I love that she's not just worried about what people think when it comes to this sex stuff. Like, let's just
Yeah,
put it out on the table. And you don't find people like that every day.
yeah,
And
yeah.
even though I aspire to be someone who is just, not a third grader and doesn't have to laugh every time I
Right.
talk about it, that's what I admire about you. So I was like, we need to talk, because, just being able to be bold about it is a really important thing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I
Yeah.
will say this, Candace. I think what and I get challenged by this all the time, in that I am of a certain age, right?
Mm,
My mother didn't speak this way. She speaks this way to me now because
yeah.
I've owned a part of myself that she can't deny, right?
Yeah.
And she then in turn had to own a piece of herself that was always there, that I always knew was there, because I was living in the house with her, witnessing a whole lot of things, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I get to be liberated in my communication about a subject matter, but I tell it from the I perspective
Mm,
versus people who are writing books or people who are telling us what to do, but they
yeah.
haven't walked a day in our journey. or even
Yeah.
a journey close to it, you know.
Mm.
And so I'm supposed to take like what advice from someone who wants to theorize about something that I've been living in reality.
Right, right. Especially those who don't have a vagina or a womb, especially those who aren't, of color with a vagina or a womb.
That part,
Right?
and
But keep
that
wanting
part
to
again.
legislate around it.
Hello,
Right?
legislate your loins. Don't worry
Right?
about mine.
Hello. Yeah. So, okay, let's talk about how the trajectory, the journey. How do I become the coochie coach? How have I become the coochie coach? I know you mentioned that your mom didn't talk about it that much when you were
Well,
young.
right,
So,
like that was. It's funny because I went on a work vacation. I'll say it was a conference, but of course I found a way to vacate even in the conference. Right, it's in
yes,
Mexico. How could you not have a good time?
right?
And of course, the topic comes up, Coochie Coach, right? Because my name is popping up in the WhatsApp chat, and not everybody knows me in the WhatsApp chat. So they don't all have my name saved, right? And
Yeah.
so young lady says, I love the name, right? She's 30, 28, and she's like, I love the name. How'd you get there, right? So the conversation goes a little bit like this. I had women in my family who were dying from lack of education around sex,
Yeah.
period. And I didn't want to be one of them.
Yeah.
So I was a hypochondriac as a young woman, but then
Mm.
I began to get informed about something because I knew that if I didn't shift something in my own practices, that I
Yeah.
too would be laying on a cold slab somewhere because of the lack of knowledge and the
Mm.
unwillingness to correct something. And
Yeah.
this is deeper than sex, and it's deeper than an hour can allow for us to discuss. But I'll
Right.
say that my sisters were dying, my cousins were dying, and I could not be one of them. And so,
Yeah.
how do I do that? It began back then. I wasn't calling myself the Coochie Coach at 16 and 17 years old, but there was a certain awareness about
Yeah.
myself and my body and my journey that I had that made me want to do something different.
Yes, yes. And what's interesting is that as you're talking, you and I are almost the exact same age. And I think about that time when we were 16, 17. That was the height of the AIDS epidemic, and how many Black women were dying
Yeah, yeah. And
during
so
that
the other,
epidemic.
I mean, dying. And
Mm.
the other thing is that even though it's the 21st century, and even though we have lots of medication that allow people to keep living powerfully with HIV,
Yeah.
it is still one of the fastest ways to kill a Black woman in the
Mm.
world.
Yeah.
So the rates are still high, and it's still an epidemic, it's still a pandemic for
Yeah.
people who look like me and you.
Absolutely.
Or shall I
And
say, you and me?
you and me. And you and me and me and you. But it also it makes me think of how it's just another sort of tool of oppression to treat it as if it needs to be taboo, right? Because the education piece is so important. And like I mentioned when I was introducing you about your education background, to put the two things together, sex and sexuality and the functioning of your body and how that works from holistic standpoint with
Yeah,
your background in education, I think is just it's a genius combination.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I mean,
You can't have a
I
better
took,
blend.
I felt like what was missing because I used to run. I worked at a high school, and the counselor, the guidance counselor, and I, we happen to be the same zodiac sign, so that's probably why it got started in the way. But we decided that we had these high schoolers who some of them were coming up pregnant,
Yeah.
all kinds of things were happening to them, and there were no real straight conversations about it. You know, their parents weren't having them, and the schools weren't having them. We didn't have sex education in the school. And so
Yeah.
we created, it was a Friday. Every Friday we would bring the students together. We would take the girls, the male teachers would take the boys, and they would discuss whatever they discussed. And it was a sacred space.
Oh,
And
wow.
I believe that that made a difference for many of the young women, that had we not done that, we don't know where they would be. You know, at least
Yeah.
for nothing, we gave them information and we gave them resources that they could refer back to. And so while I wasn't calling myself the Coochie Coach back in 2008, it was surely. the manifestation of a persona already in play.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned the term sacred space, that you created a sacred space, because I definitely think, especially for our generation, was something that was so missing, right? And I think in that missing, what it caused for a lot of us is that I always call it the disconnect between the brain, the heart, and the pussy. Like there's a
Hmm.
disconnect that a lot of us have
Yes.
where, we're willing to uh connect physically with people who we have no business connecting with, because we don't understand the sacredness. And I'm not talking
Hmm.
about religious sacredness, the
No,
sacredness of our
the
womb.
spiritual practice that
Yes.
is engaging in intercourse, right? That's a
Yeah.
spiritual exchange. It's an energetic field, forces that are occurring that we have no idea about
Yeah.
until we're in it. And even then, we don't recognize the power that comes with that type of exchange.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's also important that we have conversations that take the purity out of it, right? It's like that
Oh,
dual, it's a delicate line that we walk. Were you raised? I
hmm.
was raised in the Baptist church. Were you raised
I was
in a
raised in all of the religions. I went to
were
Catholic
you,
school for 12 years. I was baptized as a Baptist, and my father was a Pentecostal preacher.
oh Lord. So all the
So
puritanical,
all the puritanical,
patriarchal,
absolutely feel
all of it.
having
Yeah.
my vagina be in bondage based
Right.
on what a man's view is of it. Really?
Yeah. And that there's an idea that it can get used up
Got to
and
get
that your
used up,
value
or
as a
that it can
human
get
being
taken,
is,
right?
yeah,
Like some, or that you're
taken.
not taken, that you're giving it away. You're
Yeah.
giving it up.
Yeah. And so that's the distinction, I think. I think making, and because there's some that are as old as us and older that still believe and don't understand the distinction between it being your sacred space and it being
Hmm.
your pure enough for a man's
Yeah,
space. That's a completely different distinction.
two different things. Two
Yeah,
different
and
things.
I don't think there's anything wrong with, women who feel like that's an important thing for them and make that choice, the celibacy choice and all of that stuff.
Yeah, but don't
Yeah,
make me feel bad because I choose not to do that.
right. There's that.
Right? I give you the respect. I give you the respect of holding yours until the cows come home. Then
Right.
respect me for if I'm doing it in a from a consciousness that is of honor and respect for self, right? Not out
Yes.
of like self hatred and disappointment and anger, right? Because we that's what Queen of Four calls the angry vagina. We're not talking about angry vaginas out here, but I'm talking about whole, perfect, and complete. And I'm choosing to say have more than one partner, right?
Yeah.
With all everybody, knowing what the deal is. I think
Yeah.
that that is what the difference is. And so we've listened to other people dictate, and I highlight dick, right? Tate to us how we should, could, would engage with our body parts.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. And I think too, if we want to be on a road of actually being educated and healthful, that the shame of purity culture and the shame of your value being attached to it needs to be dispelled from the conversation, right? Which also makes it so valuable that you call yourself the coochie coach, because it's like I'm saying I don't have shame about my coochie,
yeah,
right? We don't have to
yeah,
be ashamed of it. We don't have to only feel valuable if it's
yeah,
pure,
yeah,
patriarchally pure. But
yeah.
like you said, we can make body honoring and respectful decisions based on a full education about how it functions.
Full education.
Yeah.
And you know how we are in this age of identifying. How do people identify? And
Yeah.
so I dare to link this to being able to identify myself as a sex positive heterosexual woman
Yeah.
who promotes pleasure activism, right?
Yes.
And it's all about you as an individual, how you choose to exercise your right to pleasure.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And for people who are listening who go straight to pleasure equals sin, because that's what people do. I always like to
You
play that.
already know.
right?
Yes.
I always like to play the audience, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
pleasure equals sin. So I deny myself pleasure. And I think, our pleasure, our willingness to allow ourselves pleasure is not just what happens below our waist. I
I was
feel
getting
like,
ready to say yes.
right? Like we when we're not letting that part have pleasure, I can almost bet that you look at
You're
the
not
other
having
areas, there's
pleasure
none.
any other place, any other place. I went out to the movies last night. It was a free movie. It was a preview of The Color Purple, and there was some crabby, angry black women in there, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And I was laughing with my home girl, and I said, we both were like, yeah, not even dick will cure that. Like there was some things, some attitudes, right? That pleasure, they needed another type of intervene,
yeah,
like they weren't going to find happiness and joy in just living life, right? The fact that we were alive,
yeah,
we should have been bringing a smile to your face.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, that's one of the things that I want us to deep dive into, the idea of like opening myself up to pleasure. A lot of times, what I find with clients that I work with is they come, like I was saying, with that disconnection, right? That
Mhm.
disconnection of what's happening in the mind, what's happening in the heart, what's happening in the womb. And, when I'm so disconnected from my pleasure, but I know I want to have love and I want to, be intimate with someone. And I don't mean just physically intimate, but emotionally intimate with someone, making that connection, like having that somehow come together. What's something that when you're working with clients and things like that, what's something that you offer maybe as a tool or something that you advise people to do to begin to make that connection?
I mean, I tell people I work with folks rated G to triple X.
Mm,
And so for me, you got to get honest. You got to get honest with where you are with the mere mention of the body part,
yeah, yeah,
coochie, vagina, pussy, whatever word you use. You got to get and acknowledge that you have one if you're a woman, because I work with women, right?
yeah.
And so for me, I have women do what I call mirror work, where you have to look at
Mm,
yourself
yeah,
below the navel and do nothing really. Just observe.
yeah.
And if you choose to have a conversation with her, that's totally up to you. But there is something about awareness
Mm,
and acknowledgement that plays a big part into where we go next,
yeah.
right? Because I think that if you don't even acknowledge her existence beyond a period and babies, then you're in a pretty bad situation because you're
Yeah,
not going to be able to get connected on a soulful level if you can't even acknowledge that she's more than that,
yeah.
right? Or if you can't look at it. Oh my God, I never look at it, but you let a doctor put a strange instrument up, you know what I'm saying, up your hoo
Mhm.
ha
Right.
and with no problem, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you taking a mirror is somehow a reason to clutch your pearls
Right.
and to, like, be all ashamed and afraid. And it's like,
Yeah,
no, let us stop that. A
yeah.
lot of people, I mean, I see a lot of young women who appear to have what I call pussy power, right?
Mhm.
And to have some type of ownership over their bodies in a way that I didn't have growing up.
Yeah,
But what I realize a lot of times, that's kind of it's still a way of acting out. It's not in true form and ownership and being grounded, right? A
yeah,
lot of time it is in a fight against something.
yeah.
Like I'll show you, man.
It's performative. Yeah,
Absolutely, what I
yeah,
can do and who I can be in this experience. But the reality is, real pussy power, you don't gotta say shit, right?
yeah,
Like I speak about it because I believe that I have a particular facility around living my life and going through a journey, a multitude of experiences of being a sexual being,
yeah.
right? And I was having this conversation with someone last night about, he said that when he tells women that they're so feminine, they get offended. And
Mm,
I said, well, maybe it's because of how people have treated people who were feminine.
Mm,
Like
good point.
society has given us a bad rap. And
Yeah.
so to be feminine is equated with being soft.
Yeah.
And
Or
for
weak.
all weak, and
Yeah.
all too many of us can't afford to be seen as weak, especially if we are at the helm of our families,
Yeah.
especially if we are navigating systems and all kinds of things in order to maintain our livelihoods. Where
Right.
can we afford to be soft and pretty and pink?
Yeah.
We can't.
Yeah.
It's not
And
afforded us.
I think that's the generational lesson that we've been taught, right? Because there was a time where we absolutely couldn't afford to. And now we're in a time where we could, but it's so ingrained, like generations of believing that being soft and pretty and pink and, just being a girl,
Right,
whatever people
right.
associate with
Whatever
femininity
that is. Yeah,
is
yeah.
not for us. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like we can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And because we got so many other restrictions and labels that say, like that can't be, but I'm like, why can't it be? Why can't I be okay with expressing my form of femininity in the way that I do it? I
Yeah.
was listening to a podcast before we got on the call, and it was a Yanla speaking to, I think, Girl Trek or something. And then she said something so direct. She was like, we need to take off the pants. She said,
Mm.
put on some dresses. And and it was like, oh shit, you're right. She said,
Yeah.
the reason, because the girl asked the question, do you ever think that a black man will ever be able to care for a black woman in the way that a black woman needs to be cared for, or something like that? And Iyanla was like, yeah, they could if we weren't trying to wear the pants.
Mm.
And that sounds old fashioned, but it's exactly what we're talking about. It's
Yeah.
like I get to be all inside of my femininity in
Yeah.
a dress.
Yeah.
It does
And now let me
something.
say this. Let me say this because it
Yeah,
takes me to because I always like to make distinctions about stuff because
absolutely.
I know
Absolutely.
right because I know how my audience thinks and they're ready to fight when it comes to stuff like that because there is that whole red pill culture and I was in it for a while. Like I used to
Yeah.
do a podcast last year with this, red pill kind of guy. And, it's the idea that women aren't women unless they wear dresses and things like that. And so I want to make
I'm
the
not, no,
distinction,
right, right.
yeah, out of what you're saying, because I actually believe that the most powerful we ever are is in our femininity, right? And not performative femininity. I think that what you're pointing to, what Yanla said, and what you're saying is the analogy for, because I don't want people to get too caught up in dress or pants.
Right,
It's the analogy for the ability to flow or the ability to force,
right.
right? And wearing your pants means you are in force mode. And wearing your dress means you are in flow mode. And as women,
Mm-hmm.
inherently, we are more powerful in flow mode
And
than
flow.
force mode.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I want
And
to
so,
make sure
yeah,
people hear that.
I get that. I mean, I'm glad you made that distinction, but I also know that when I'm wearing a dress,
Mhm.
as opposed to when I'm wearing a pants, and I feel powerful when I'm feeling powerful, and I don't feel powerful when I'm not feeling powerful, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
there's a way of being that I be in a dress, a
yeah,
skirt that's not catering to the patriarchy,
yeah.
right? But that I feel like I really
Free.
got my shit. Like there's something about this and cute, beautiful. I don't have to have on makeup.
Yeah,
I'm just wearing a dress, and I could have my pants underneath. I could have shorts underneath. Like all
right.
of that is happening. But it's like, yeah, there's something about this dress. There's something about
Because
this
it's
skirt.
physically freeing. I mean, even Scottish men wear kilts,
That's what I'm saying. There's a liberation of the lips. You understand?
right? When you can just let all your stuff be free, that's a very
Listen,
wonderful,
Yana said, put on. She said, you can have your shorts underneath or not.
right? Right, but
Yeah.
it's a perfect analogy for when I think dresses, like it's feminine flow, it's being able to be free
Yeah.
from the waist down, from wherever, it's like being able to be in a state of water, right? Femininity is water. Femininity is not pretending to be a girl, or
Right.
pretending you
Right.
can't do things, or acting weak. It's I flow with, like how we're doing today. Like
Yeah.
we were like,
Yeah.
schedule's off, I didn't get the thing, da, 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 whatever, and we're like, there's nothing wrong here, we're
Right.
flowing with it. And
Yeah.
men can
Indeed.
do that too. I think men can have
Absolutely.
that energy too.
Absolutely.
But the conversation is that we, as women of color, as Black women, don't always know and don't always take advantage of our strength in being able to do
Hmm.
that, and knowing we
Hmm.
can do that,
And know that
and that
that's
it's
like a
healthy for
gift.
us.
Yeah.
Say again.
That that's a gift. The ability
Yes.
to flow, right? To go with the flow of a thing. Like that really is a really
Yes.
powerful place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And ending the narrative of that it's in any way weak when you're soft.
Yes.
It's in any way weak
Yes.
when you let people be who they want to be.
When they be who they want to be. And it's
Right?
like if I have to have the respect and honor for all people to choose to be whoever they want to choose to be, I only ask for the same thing in return. That
Yes.
when I'm choosing to be my powerful feminine self in whatever I'm freaking wearing, right? That the respect be given, the
Yeah.
honor be given, right? That you acknowledge something.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's the whole reason that we're about to do, you're joining me, right? Can we make the
Yes,
announcement? Can we let people
yes, make it. Absolutely.
So, if you've been listening to the show, last week I announced that I'm about to do a free 5-day challenge called Meet Your Bae by New Year's Day. And also, I'm going to be launching a membership in 2024. It's a month by month membership, and the Coochie Coach is coming on as a partner. She's going to be the admin of my group. She's going to be a leader in the space. She's coming along for the Meet Your Bae by New Year's Day ride with us.
Ooh, I'm excited about that part.
Right? I'm excited too.
What
Now,
you gonna
here's
do if I'm? What you gonna do if and when I meet my babe on New Year's Day? That's gonna be some unprecedented data for you. I'm telling you.
right? We're gonna celebrate is what we're gonna do. And that's gonna be a big part of it, is like throughout the 5 days. It's gonna be from the 26th to the 30th. We are gonna celebrate the wins and the thing that we've just been talking about when it comes to feminine flow and all of that. One of I call them my 5 magic beans. I'm not going to tell you exactly what all 5 of them are now because I don't want to give it away. But the
Okay.
first and most important one is appreciating and loving, right? So often we don't let ourselves just focus on what we love. And I don't mean like, the people that you love in your family, when you're cooking for them, you're running around for them, you're picking them up, you're doing whatever. Like, yes, you're focusing on someone you love when you're doing that. But I mean, like what we were talking about earlier, pleasure. Like I know I have this great coach. I don't know if you know her. Her name's Mika Joseph. And one of our first sessions, she said to me, I'm going to time you, just rattle off all the things that you love. And even as a coach myself, like I was instantly challenged. I'm like, what do you mean rattle off what I love? Like, this is going wrong. That's going wrong. I got to do this. I got to take care of that. This is a problem over here. Like, what? Yeah, I love my family. I love my dog. Like, what?
Right. Right. Right.
So that's one of the things that we're really going to focus on, is being able to get into that headspace. Because what she
Mm.
had me do was get to an understanding that we know that where energy goes, where flows. Wait, where I always get the saying
Right.
wrong,
I already get it.
but
Yeah.
where our focus
Where
goes,
focus
energy
goes,
flows.
energy flows.
Yes, and that's what we grow, the things that we focus on. And so what she had me really get clear about is that so much of my time, probably a lion's share of my time, and for good reason, because I'm a woman of color living in the United States, I was focusing on, what do I need to fix? What do I need to do? What is not enough? What
Mm.
needs to be shifted? How can I do better? What do I need to buy? Like all
And the
those things
universe
that,
kept giving you that.
yeah, right? Or what's wrong? Why is this not where it's supposed to
Yep.
be? Why is that not doing what it's supposed to do? Like that was my constant rumination, right? And until she had me do that exercise, which that's going to be one of the exercises that we do, where I had to get really really uh, clear about that there are things that I really love that I'm just letting go by like it's nothing
Yeah.
because I'm not letting myself love it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not letting myself really sit in it. And a lot of things that I love that I deny myself because I'm so busy worried about the stuff that I need to get done or so busy worried about the stuff that, is a complaint for me.
Yeah.
Rather than really letting myself sit down and paint a picture or, allow myself to just sit outside on the deck and breathe.
And breathe.
You know what I mean? Go and
Yeah.
travel someplace that I really want to go to. Even in my vacations in the past, I would go on vacation and look for, well, this is not right. Well, they didn't give us the right thing. Well, okay, we're sitting here. Do you know what I mean?
I totally know what you mean. I did it this past weekend. And then I had to keep catching myself. I was like, wait a second. You're at an all inclusive resort with about 6 different restaurants.
Well,
You can go to another restaurant. You can
yeah,
request that service be different. You
yeah,
but like you're blessed is what I had to remind myself. Like what are
yes,
we talking about here?
yeah.
What's your concern?
Right? What is the problem while I'm on
Right,
vacation?
right, right. Like get a grip,
But
girl.
I think that's something that's part of, what is our generational. I don't want to call it a curse because, a curse suggests that it
Mhm.
needs to be somehow, magically dispelled or lifted. But, that sort of generational mindset of fix the problems, fix the problems, fix the problems, focus on what's wrong, make it
Mm.
right,
Never,
and when
never,
we're,
never mind all that's great and wonderful that we get to be grateful about.
yeah,
I know when I
yeah,
get into that complaint stage, I said, I say to myself, okay, you're gonna have to get grateful right now. Get grateful, because you too deep in the bag of what's wrong. Go get
yeah.
grateful.
Mm.
So it may be a list of something to be grateful about, but just
Or
get
just stuff.
grateful.
Because I think the distinction with grateful and things that I love is that grateful, I think, is powerful because I'm acknowledging my abundance, right? It gives me the space to get into what I love. But focusing on what I love is just it's freedom. It's like abandon.
Mm,
It's like I am allowing myself to be a human experiencing this earth
yeah,
I'm in tune with what I love.
yeah.
Right? When I'm in tune with what I'm grateful about, I'm grateful that my father is still alive and I love my father. But I know that talking to him every day, is not something I love as much as I love him. So it's like it's the difference between I feel abundance and I acknowledge that blessings have been given, and then
Mhm.
there's those things that when I'm doing them, I am in my mode, like I am
Yeah.
100% authentically me, fully self-expressed and in love. And how
Mm,
often do we let ourselves do those things?
mm,
Right? How
gotcha.
often do we let ourselves be in that mode?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Not often,
Not
like
often.
if
And
we
I
don't
tell
get to,
you,
yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you because I want you to hold your thought, but that one piece of it, that's out of my little 5 magic beans. That one piece of it will have you meet somebody like that, getting into the
Mm,
practice of it.
mm,
And they may or may not be your forever person, but that
right.
one piece of it, you
It
will
opens
instantly,
something up.
it opens something up.
I like that.
If you- right?
I was gonna say, yeah, it gives what what that does, the getting into what you love, right? Or writing down what you love, or just getting present to the fact that love can be applied to things other than a partner.
Right?
You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
oh, I just love, karaoke. You know what I'm saying? But I don't go to karaoke. So
Yeah.
then go to karaoke. You know what I'm saying? Like get into that and be okay with that and
Yeah.
own that.
Yes.
So
And
that
let yourself
other
love that.
things can, yeah, yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. And love yourself for loving that, right?
Yes. Stop judging ourselves for what we love because we get
Be
enough of
okay
that.
with it.
I was watching this show that they just released on Netflix that was on back in the day. Like I would say almost 10 years ago when I still lived in New York. It was called Blood, Sweat, and Heels. and it was about Black women in the city. It was like a Black Sex in the City. And I just watched the one episode, and one of them, one of the women, her name was Daisy. I think she's since passed away, but she was
Yes, she
doing an event.
did.
She did, right? She was doing an event, and all the other women were there, and they just were there supposedly in support as a friend, but so sour faced, like refusing to let themselves just enjoy the moment because they were so busy judging judging. And we can't help it a lot of times because that's what we've been taught to do, is look for what to be afraid of, look for what to dislike, look for what to put down or to criticize. So
Look for
it's
what's
about
wrong.
look for what's wrong, right? Rather than, and all of them, I lost her. I lost the Coochie Coach. But for those of you who are listening, in what I was watching, all of the ladies were in their, various beautiful outfits, in their dresses, like me and the Coochie Coach were just talking about, and sitting in a beautiful rooftop bar. And everybody was there with a sourpuss on, not being able to enjoy themselves, not being able to enjoy the moment. Oh, she's back. Yeah, and
Yeah, child almost fell down on the bus.
are you okay?
Good, good. That's how I lost the call, trying to save my ass from falling.
Oh no! Did you actually fall, or did you?
No, somebody
good.
caught me. Somebody caught me, and I caught myself, and
Yes.
all is well.
Oh, honey, I'm glad. I'm glad you didn't face
That
it.
would have been terrible.
There's nothing worse than falling in the city when it's cold outside.
First of all, it's nothing. It's nothing worse than falling. You're already injured. Coming from the
Right?
doctor. Come on. Listen. I'm like,
On
get
the
you,
hard
girl.
concrete.
On the bus, no doubt. All embarrassed. No, thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're okay. I was just continuing what I was saying, just to wrap up that I was watching that scene of that show, and all of them in dresses, like what we were talking about earlier, on a beautiful rooftop, and everybody with a sour puss on their face.
Sour face. I remember that episode.
Do you?
They were cutting her at the knees with all the criticism that they had for her, and it was really horrible. One of the girls, she has since, I guess, gone on and grown up a little bit, and I follow her on Instagram, and she's like more reflective. I forgot her name, but I think she's the one who was like the writer or something.
Was it Dimitri? I like her too.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's it. That's her. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, but oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like it requires growing up.
Yeah.
So,
and allow yourself to love things. Allow yourself
to love
because why go through all the trouble of getting pretty and dressed up and going to a place and not finding what you like about it?
Not liking a thing about it and being a
Right?
goddamn miserable ass the whole time. Yeah.
I think about like dating in my 30s and how much time in my 30s I spent on dates mad because that person wasn't what I wanted them to be, or it wasn't going in the direction that I wanted it to go in, or I didn't see them as my person. Why am I sitting here? Because I just, here I am having like probably a fabulous meal.
You already know. Some good food.
Right? Yeah, wearing a great outfit.
Yep. And mad, complaining.
And mad.
But because we're not being grateful about the thing, the opportunity, but also not loving ourselves.
Yeah.
Not loving ourselves and not loving the lives that we have. Like, it may not be this picture perfect life.
Yeah.
But it's the life we've got.
Yeah.
And by golly, it's a short goddamn life. Like, for as long as we'll live, we'll always be gone longer than we were here.
Right.
And so where can we learn to love ourselves in a way that maybe we weren't taught, but that could be gratefully beneficial to us and to our lives and to the experience that we get to have on the planet?
Yeah. Well, this challenge is definitely going to flex that self-love muscle. Right? Because we talk about self-love all the time. And I think, for a lot of people, it's become the cliche. But
Yeah.
I've set up this whole challenge to be flexing that muscle,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? I'm even going to give tools for getting centered and getting present and, being in that practice of coming up against, do I really love myself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
Well,
a
that's
little
a
bit of
good
an echo now.
question. You
You still
do?
have the
Probably because
other
I'm
ones in.
outside.
Huh?
Because I'm outside.
I don't know. All of a sudden now there's an echo. But okay, so that's a major one of the magic beans. There's 5 altogether. We're going day by day. Also there's going to be 3 prizes that you and I talked about one of them. I'm not giving those away at all, but I am giving them away during the challenge. We want people to sign up for the challenge because and the Coochie Coach is going to be there with us as well, right? In the trenches.
Wait, the coochie, right? I want to stress that part. I'm going to be there as a total participant because I haven't found my person yet,
Yes.
right? Like, I just haven't found him yet. He's somewhere out there. He's waiting for me. I don't know.
He's seeking
But
you. He's seeking
he's
you like you're
seeking
seeking
me.
him.
He's like, girl, I got you. Just get it ready.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
So I'm interested.
talk about being in the trenches and doing this challenge. Like what comes up for you when you think about it? Besides, I mean, I know you don't know the whole process, but
Have no
what's on your
idea. I want y'all to know I'm going in blind, okay?
mind,
I
right?
like,
By
I
design.
blind by design. But the beautiful part is, I think it's time.
Yeah.
It's time for me to one. My ego initially was like, "How you gonna be talking about you need to go find a bay and by New Year's Day and you talking about coochie? How But that one doesn't have anything to do with the other. Let me just say that right to people, right? I could have the best pussy in the world and be by my fucking self. You know what I'm saying?
It's
And so
very true.
you know what I mean? And so it's like, what good is good coochie if you ain't got nobody to share it with? You know what I'm saying? Like,
The sound bite.
where right, where they do that at?
Right.
So I'd like to share my vagina with one person. So I'm gonna be honest. I don't know anything about monogamy, right?
I got
10 years of marriage, we were not monogamous, right?
got Yeah.
So I said, if you've never been monogamous, and I'm not even sure that monogamy is my thing, but wouldn't
Yeah.
it be nice to try it? Like, even if it's not your thing, to experience a thing,
Yeah.
you must experience a thing to know if it's for you or not. I think I
Absolutely.
strayed away from it because it seemed like it was an anomaly or some like a unicorn thing, or does that really happen? Like,
Yeah.
do people really just stay with the same person for
Yeah.
eons? Well, I realized that was a network of conversations that led me to this no anti-monogamy thing. It's how I was
Mm,
born. I wasn't born into a monogamous relationship. So it's
yeah.
all of that roped into just how I continue to live my life out loud. And
Right.
so now it's like, hey, I want one man for one woman. If that's
Yeah.
a thing, it's got to be somebody out there for me because hell, I got all these great ass qualities.
Right. A
And
hundred
who
percent.
would you're right, and who wouldn't want to hang out and be with me? But most importantly, who wouldn't want to respect and protect and honor and be loved by me,
Yeah.
but also love me?
Yes. And respect and protect
Yeah,
each
exactly.
other. Yeah. And it's interesting what you're saying about the monogamy piece. And I'll tell you what it is that I believe that a lot of us have sort of a negative bent on monogamy. Even those of us who believe that I'm gonna mute you for a second. Even those of us who believe that monogamy is the only thing that is for us, right? Those of us who, because I my whole life I've not been someone who wanted to get married because of what was modeled for me, but I've thought that the only way is one person at a time. But even to my detriment, like even to when times I should have just been single, in my mind, you're not whole unless you're with someone. We all have, different sort of associations that cause what we feel about what monogamy is. right? And so just the simple definition of monogamy is just one person with one person, but we make it mean what we saw growing up. We make it mean, fighting with somebody every day, or not being together because we're supposed to be monogamous, but neither one of us is showing up, or that it's a constant struggle, that everybody feels dissatisfied all the time. I think
Right.
that's where we get into trouble, whether you want it or not.
That part, the dysfunctional relationships that were modeled for us are what we based our decisions on really, really early,
Yeah.
really, really early. I mean, they say a whole lot of things happen when a child is in utero. So
Yeah.
before we even make it to the planet, ideas and thoughts and concepts of how things should go are already being formulated in our freaking brains.
Yeah.
So it's like you come in with somebody else's thoughts already superimposed on your mind in a
Hmm.
place where you're not even thinking about that yet, right? You don't even know that. You don't even have the awareness of that. And
Yeah.
so it plays out as time goes on because you begin to see the same negative stuff modeled out in real life in real time. Now, on the other side, there are people who exist in what they call polyamorous, polygamous, polyandrous relationships that are quite happy and joyful and successful
Yeah.
because they get what that means and what it requires, and all parties are all systems a go because they've got a vision and a mission for a thing, right?
Mm. Yeah.
So I want to say that because I know that there are spaces and places where that exists and it works. But the way that I've been acting it out has not been with a mission and a vision for the advancement of a culture,
Yeah.
right? It's all been rooted in all the parties involved, selfishness,
Yeah.
selfish behavior, and singularity of focus, which is
Mm.
below my navel. It is
Yeah.
not about how do we come together to empower one another to build great businesses and homes and structures and culture and community and currency,
Yeah.
right? Like if we had that at the forefront, then none of the labels would even matter because we
Yeah.
would know that when we got together, we were getting together to build, to create, to procreate if we choose. And if that be the case, then who can we get with to procreate to advance our mission, our vision, our view, and our plan for our lives?
Right. Everybody enrolled.
And enroll them enough that they want to then register into the lifestyle, whatever
Yeah.
that lifestyle is,
Yeah.
and it
And it,
works for people how it works for people. But go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, I do agree that that is so important. It's, getting to a point where you really can say, what is the right thing for you, right? What is the thing that authentically aligns with who I know myself to be at my core? So that is one of the questions that I like to answer anytime people work with me. And that's a question that will be answered in this challenge. And it's a question that gets answered in the group membership. And sometimes the answer is, I just like women, or I don't really want to be married, or I do want to be married. I know I do for sure. And, and it's authentic to my desires. That's the most important piece right there, is do I know exactly what I want? Because I can't get on the level with someone else and enroll with them if I'm not really even sure which direction I really want to go in, right? Because
You
how do we make a covenant?
How do we do that? I'm always laughing because I'm always like, I just want a man who's like me,
Yeah. In
right?
what
Like,
ways? In what ways?
can I get a man that's like me in just about every way
Yeah.
possible other than the feminine part? Like, be in touch with their femininity, but let me own that area, right? Allow me to acknowledge that I have masculinity that exists in me, but I lean on you to manifest that in the dominant way, if that's what I choose to do. Um, but be okay with being you, like free spirited, someone who has the capacity to say, yo, that was some dope ass shit you did. And I'm not intimidated by it,
Yeah.
and, to empower me to be as forthright as I am, but allow me to be vulnerable when I need to be.
Yeah.
I get a lot of, I'm so strong, nobody can be with me when I'm not being strong.
Mm.
It's like I can't be tough all the damn time. This
Yeah.
tough shit is hard work, you
Yeah.
know. And I'd like to lay her down sometimes, especially in the arms of,
Yeah.
Bo Handsome,
Right. Someone who can hold you up.
Bo
Right.
Goodness, like, like I was falling on the bus, like, Bo, catch me.
Bo
That's
catch
all I'm
me.
saying.
I
Bo, get
love
my back, right?
Exactly. I mean, exactly. I think that is exactly it. Being in that space of, and here's the thing, you're not alone, right? You're joining the right group. The reason that I even went on the journey myself is because I had a very similar experience, and that I was coming with all of my masculine energy, and then it was like there was no space for them to be like showing up and not be in their feminine energy, and not, here they are flowing. I got this Negro flowing on the couch playing video games. I'm going to work 16 hours a day. So this is what we're going to be facing. Like, this is what we're looking at. So how do I become that woman without compromising my personality, my passions, and my purpose? How do I become that woman that is a space for that? That's what this whole thing is set up for. Becoming a space for what I know I want. I got to be clear about that. How do I become the space for what I know I want without all the stuff that we try to put on top of it? I don't want to pretend and act like this or act like that. It's like, you don't have to pretend. It's just understand, first of all, why do I need to be in control? Why do I need to show up so powerful? I have some clients, the reason they need to show up so powerful is because they think they have to prove that they're worthy of the love. Look at all this stuff I can do. Look at all these things I've accomplished. Look at how great that was me. I'm like, I got these degrees. I got this great TV career. I do this, I do that. I used to be trying to impress like, why am I trying to impress you?
I'm the prize. You know what I'm
I'm the
saying? Like,
prize.
you should be jumping around trying to twirl your tail and see if I'm interested. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? I mean,
Exactly.
and not like either one of us need to do pony tricks for the other, we all need to be able to show up as our perfectly imperfect selves,
Yes.
and you vibe with it or you don't, and or I vibe with it or I don't, and
Yeah.
that be okay.
Yeah.
Gone are the, I mean, especially at 51, I mean, gone are the days where I'm trying to impress you,
Right.
not that I don't, and to be honest with you, I don't think I've ever really tried to impress a man much. Like,
Yeah.
I never did a whole lot. I just came and was me. I do know that
But
I
you wanting to have it go the way you want it to go, right? Like,
right,
I'm not trying to impress you, but I am trying to make this go the way I
but
want
I
it.
am trying to steer it in the right fucking
Yeah,
direction. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? What? Hold on a second. I mean,
yeah. What happened?
yeah, someone's calling and she just
Oh.
called and I didn't accept the call. When you call someone during the daytime and they don't answer, that usually means they're not available in the daytime. You have to
Right.
let them finish
Leave a
living their
message.
lives. She left a message. So you've left a message. I'll
Yeah.
get back to you. Anywho,
Give it a minute.
yeah, so that's what I need my man to understand. If I don't pick up, boo, I'll call you back. You know I love you. So yeah, so I will say this, Candace. Like, I feel like, and I want to be responsible. I'm across the street from my daughter's school. They'll be getting out
Yes.
in
We're gonna
about
wrap up.
15 minutes.
Okay.
But I want to say this. I am grateful to you for saying, Nikki, hey, come on the podcast. But prior to that, like, hey, Nikki, do you want to do this thing? Let's try this thing. We don't know what this thing is, but maybe this thing could be something, right?
Yeah.
It could be a good thing for both of us. And there's a particular intention that comes along. Not intention. There's a particular humility that
Mm.
comes with that as a businesswoman to go to another strong businesswoman and say, hey, we've got some great shit singly. Let's
Yeah.
create greater shit together. And
Yeah.
so I thank you for seeing that. And you didn't ask me to not be the coochie coach. You know, you didn't say, I mean, because people have done that, right? You didn't
Yeah.
say, well, if you just, if you say just one less profane word, Nikki, then you'll be perfect. And
One
it's
less
not that. One less profane. And that's just not me,
perfect.
right? I mean, people,
Yeah.
I have times when I use profanity, times when I don't use profanity. I just want the freedom to use it when I feel like using it and it not be a thing.
Yeah.
Um, so thank you for that. Thank you for this platform. I look forward to this challenge.
Absolutely.
I'm calling it something else. I'm calling it a journey. I'm not gonna call it a challenge because challenge sounds hard.
I
And so
wanted
I'm
to.
just gonna
I want people to know you gonna be up against some stuff. In
I know.
a
Listen, I'm
good way.
already. I woke up crying this morning. The challenge hasn't even started. I'm like, oh, am I gonna have
Right.
to deal? I was like, am
I'm
I
a new
gonna have to deal with that in the challenge?
challenge. That's a good point.
So it's there. It's something that
Yeah.
I've been probably ignoring all of my time since I've been dating, and now it's time to take the blinders off and stop ignoring it. You
Yeah.
know, and just face it.
Yeah, I hear that. All right. So, couple things, and thank you for that acknowledgement and that appreciation. I acknowledge you for being brave without knowing all the details and being willing to jump in. And also, I believe in being an example of what I teach. And what I teach in partnership is that you accept each other 100%. And that's why I wouldn't want you to be anything but the coochie coach. I mean, it's part of the reason that I love you, but I know for some people that that could, rub them the wrong way or whatever. But because you boldly are exactly who you are, that's the only kind of partnerships that I accept. So 100% be you, honey, in all of your shine and glory. And what was the last thing?
Into the,
Oh, this
when
is
they
the
open
thing.
up the door.
I want you to answer the question of what do you love most about being a Black woman?
Ooh, this is a good one. What about, you know, I feel like what I love most about being a Black woman is being the quintessential human being. We
Mm,
have the awesome ability to be all the things and nothing at all when we choose to be.
yeah,
I know people who marvel at some of the things that we do without even thinking.
yeah,
And we do many, many things in that way. And we have the capacity to be with and be without and create what
yeah,
is missing and design lives that under any other circumstances, any other person might die. And
mm,
being a Black woman, we have this ability to shape shift.
yeah.
It's like a blessing and a curse because it's really great that we do it, but then no one gives us or wants to give us lenience when we say we need to rest.
Yeah,
We need to put this burden down. We need to rest our cape, you know.
yeah. Yeah, and not be the trope. Soft girl
Hello.
era, honey. Soft girl era.
Hello. Pretty in pink, honey. I'm about to go
Right?
find me some pink to put on. Shit.
Right. All right, my sweetheart. I'm not I said before I was gonna hold you after. I want you to go ahead and pick up your daughter because we're gonna reconvene later.
Okay.
And I'm gonna
Okay.
close out with everybody. You have a good rest of the day. Thank you for taking the
Thank
time.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you to everybody who listened today. I hope you got some goodness out of it. If it was just one word that you get to take away. Oh, wait, tell me that. What's one word you're taking away from this experience we had today?
Excitement. I'm on like 1,000. I'm so excited. I'm excited about our partnership. I'm excited about this conversation. I'm excited because I'm going to edit the podcast as soon as we're done and I'm going to broadcast it tomorrow evening. I'm excited about all of it. Yes.
Nice.
What about you?
My word is happy. I feel
Yay.
happy right now. I feel
Mm,
really, really happy. Yeah, yeah. This is good.
awesome.
Thank
All
you,
right, my sweetheart.
Candace.
I love
See you
you so
later.
much.
Have a good afternoon. Love you. Have a good, great weekend.
You too. Kisses to your girl. The Coochie Coach is awesome. I love her. All right, my sweethearts. Thank you. Anybody who stayed throughout, listened to the whole show, thank you so much for being here. Even if you saw part of the show, hopefully you get to come back later. I am going to be broadcasting the audio version of the podcast on Apple Podcasts, which you'll be able to listen to it, and on Spotify and YouTube, you'll be able to watch the video. And Nikki and I were talking about the Meet Your Bae by New Year's Day 5-day challenge. And so it's free. It's a 5-day challenge for single, professional women of color who are all about their soft girl era, want a healthy partnership where we're seen, heard, accepted, and loved, and want to have an amazing time creating it all in a supportive, exclusive sisterhood. These sisters are going to be the real deal, like me and Nikki, just saying what is true, saying what is on our mind, being able to connect, help each other out, network, support each other through the work that we're going to be doing. I call it work, but it integrates into your life and it doesn't feel like work. Let's make these big shifts, these big transformations. The time is now. We're about to have a new year, and you want to have that greatest love of all time. I want you to get your gloat. All right, sign up now. The doors won't be open for long. We start on the 26th to the 30th for the challenge. I want you to go to bit.ly, Meet Your Bae New Year's Day. I will put it across the screen for anybody who's watching the video. And that is it, my sweethearts. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for comments that you make later that we can interact with. And thank you for all that you do, just being yourselves. Until next time. Never forget that you are lovable, be unapologetically lovable, and give yourself grace. I love you so much. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Bye now. Take care. Bye.